What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, June 7th. It's 4:08 p.m. and this is the crypto newsletter. So we're going to first start off with this. So this guy said, I think Bitcoin is on the verge of a very big move. I would agree. And when the BBWP, not sure what that means, but shows a blue bar, there was always a strong move afterwards in 2015 and 2020. Bitcoin also above it at the same time equals bull market, below it in 2018, bear market, and it is currently above the EMA 20. So as you can see here, the blue bar came in, we're above the EMA 20, boom. And then we went below it right here, and we had the blue bar come in, capitulation for the bear market. Then we had the blue bar come in, we're above the 20 moving average, boom. Then we just got this blue bar come in, and we're currently above the 20 EMA. So what has happened in the past? Boom and boom. And this kind of goes in line with what I was thinking back, comparing the fractals as well too. So that's just another find right there as far as for the charts. But let's go into the news as far as Circle begs Congress, please regulate us. So if we go down here, this was released this morning. As crypto exchanges face SEC lawsuits, the company behind the 30 billion USD coin believes that if regulation finally comes to crypto and stablecoins, its by-the-book approach will put it on top. It also could unleash a storm of formidable competition. So in a secluded back room, Jeremy Allaire is being bombarded with questions during a 4-course meal featuring, It's early May, and the journalists at the table want to know more about how his firm, Circle Internet Financial, maker of the world's second largest stablecoin, is faring in the light of the bank deposit crisis, and what the outlook for a new federal law to legitimize stablecoins is. 2 months prior, Circle was dealt a crippling blow after admitted to having a $3.3 billion of uninsured deposits frozen in Silicon Valley Bank. It amounted to more than 7% of the $42 billion aggregate supply of its USD coin. Since the deposit served as collateral for the crypto, panic caused the trading price of its flagship stablecoin to fall to as low as 88 cents over a 2-day period. The whole point of a stablecoin is that, like a money market fund, it is never supposed to trade below its par value, in this case, $1. So as we keep going on here, Allaire has built his business on playing by the rules, but that has been a problem in a brand new industry for which existing regulations often do not apply. It also puts the straight-laced, disclosure-prone Circle at a disadvantage to the edgier Tether, which is based in British Virgin Islands and keeps as much information about its business as it can away from prying eyes. In the crypto sphere, flouting convention is often heralded by its followers. But as Binance and Coinbase face SEC lawsuits that challenge their business models, the environment may finally be ready for a goody two-shoe Circle. This explains why Allaire and his team are lobbying for proposed U.S. legislation that would provide clearer rules for stablecoins. Policymaking on stablecoins and policymaking on how USDC will be treated by regulators is happening. The general theme is we are meeting with major regulators and policymakers all the time. The downside to the Allaire's plan is that if stablecoins become regulated investments with safety assured, it could invite competition. Some big banks, which have enough resources and have invested in blockchain, could get into the stablecoin business. The business opportunity could be huge because stablecoins could disrupt the existing remittance payments and peer-to-peer transfer system. With a bill like this, we'll end up doing more business with banks than we currently do. The banks can't get involved in this because they're not authorized. There's no clear path, and they can't hold stablecoins on their balance sheets because there's no way for them to do that under the current rules. So this will actually increase bank adoption of USDC. So there we go. So that regulation is what's going to drive the institutions and banks to be able to step into this space. And that's where the money comes in. So then we have court requests clarity from SEC on Coinbase request for clarity. The SEC has 7 days to respond to a court request for clarity on Coinbase's lawsuit against the regulator. So June 14th, that's right in our time zone. The court overseeing the Coinbase versus SEC case, not to be confused with the SEC Coinbase case, because there's a lawsuit against the SEC as of yesterday against Coinbase, but then Coinbase has a lawsuit against the SEC. It's crazy right now. But they're seeking clarity on whether or not the SEC, with its legal action against Coinbase, will be denying the exchange its request for clarity. The court request comes after Coinbase filed a writ of mandamus, essentially asking the court to oversee the commission's approach to regulating digital assets. The SEC is now being asked by the court to respond to a few points within 7 days. The court wants to know if the new suit against Coinbase means the SEC is moving to deny its rulemaking petition, as well as whether the SEC needs more time to ponder the petition. In addition, the court, in consideration of the amendments, wants the SEC to give an argument on why the court should not maintain jurisdiction, which would allow it to order periodic reports as well as establish deadlines depending on how the SEC responds to the exchange. Coinbase chief legal officer tweeted, "We continue to believe that the rules of the road from legislation or rulemaking or both must come before enforcement actions. That is why we petitioned the SEC for rulemaking nearly a year ago in the first place. The SEC has been previously forced by the court to respond to a regulatory clarity request from Coinbase following Coinbase lawsuit against the commission earlier this year. In a May response, the commission said deliberating over the kind of significant changes sought by Coinbase, which could affect both crypto assets and the securities market, more generally takes time, including as here, time to weigh whether or not to initiate a rulemaking proceeding about such topics in the first instance." There we go. So now let's go to the next thing, and we'll keep it to the regulation discussion first off and then get into some CBDC news. So we have U.S. lawmakers urge IRS and Treasury to hurry crypto tax rules. So they called the industry a major source of tax evasion in a letter asking for the prompt release of proposed regulations on reporting requirements. The U.S. Treasury Department and IRS should promptly release planned crypto tax rules so the industry can be brought into full compliance, said a representative from California and Massachusetts. For many years, the crypto industry has been a major source of tax evasion and a significant part of the nation's tax gap. The letter noted that the White House may have completed the review of the 2021 infrastructure bill's hotly debated tax reporting requirements for crypto brokers in February. The government is yet to release the proposed regulations. The point of contention was a broad definition of broker that could apply the reporting requirement to miners and crypto wallet providers who would not be able to comply with the rule. IRS official Julie Futster said in April during CoinDesk's consensus event that she could not say when the agency planned to update and clarify the guidance, and that it was looking into other ways of communicating with the industry so that taxpayers can voluntarily comply with the reporting requirement. They said the crypto industry had all of 2022 to prepare and now apparently gets 2023 off as well. There we go. So then we have this. The U.S. District Court summons Binance CEO CZ over SEC action, and the United States District Court in Washington issued a summons for Binance CEO just 2 days after the SEC formally sued the exchange for alleged unregistered securities operations. A lawsuit has been filed against you, the summons reads. So while details are scarce at this time, the summons viewed by Cointelegraph did not appear to have been marked as served, and an immediate request for information was not returned by the SEC or Binance. The company CEO, CZ, won't necessarily have to appear in person. However, he is legally required to respond to the summons once served. Per the document, once service occurs, Binance and its CEO will have 21 days to respond. If you fail to respond, judgment by default will be entered against you for the relief demanded in the complaint. The SEC's lawsuit against Binance, made public on June 5th, levied 13 charges against the crypto exchange, and the majority of which related to allegations of unregistered sales of its internal products and services, its cryptocurrency staking program, and the company's supposed failure to properly register its primary and U.S. arms as exchanges. Binance disputes the SEC's allegations. In a statement given in response to the SEC action, the company stated, "We are different than FTX." Binance denies that its exchange ever siphoned customer funds and collateralized borrowings. The company also claims it never gave large donations to political candidates nor made large sponsorships to entertainment and media entities. So they're throwing shots at FTX. Then we have U.S. Financial Services Committee sets date to discuss future of crypto. The U.S. House of Representatives Committee did not disclose all the topics for discussion, but the committee expects the hearing to address critical issues in the space. The United States House of Representatives Financial Services Committee has scheduled a hearing on crypto to discuss its future and provide clarity for the digital assets ecosystem. On June 6, Representative Patrick McHenry, the House Financial Services Committee chairman, announced a full committee hearing titled "The Future of Digital Assets, Providing Clarity for the Digital Asset Ecosystem." The hearing is scheduled for June 13th, right in that timeline. According to the committee, the hearing will be live streamed on its website, and here it is. So while the committee did not provide more detailed information about what it will be discussed in the hearing, members of the crypto community are hoping it will address some of the pressing issues in the space. A Twitter user commented that addressing what they described as coordinated attacks on crypto exchanges would be good, referring to the SEC. in their recent lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase. Meanwhile, other community members have called on the committee to keep the SEC chair in check. A community member believes the SEC chief has disregarded what has been discussed in previous hearings. The announcement follows a recent U.S. House of Representatives Agriculture Committee hearing on June 6th. That was a couple of days ago. There was a hearing titled "The Future of Digital Assets: Providing Clarity for Digital Assets Spot Markets." The committee also discussed the future of digital assets, specifically the draft bill authored by McHenry and the House AG Committee Chair, Representative Glenn Thomas. So a lot of regulation stuff is happening as we speak. Then we have, as a result of it, we have Binance.us to pause OTC trading portal and delist some trading pairs after the SEC suit. So they're delisting a bunch of trading pairs, around 100, and they're also pausing their over-the-counter trading portal. Then we had Soros, so George Soros, fund management CEO, says crypto is ripe for a traditional finance takeover. So the traditional institutions are coming for crypto's lunch. So crypto is here to stay, but the recent turmoil provides an opportunity for traditional finance to take the lead, CEO of Soros Fund Management said. Platforms like Binance and Coinbase would have benefited from having an adult in the room, she said amid the SEC lawsuits against both platforms. She's bullish on crypto, even with the recent headwinds, including the SEC suing trading platforms Binance and Coinbase amid a prolonged downturn. Crypto is here to stay. What happened is clearly a setback, but right now I actually think it's a huge opportunity for the incumbent financial firms to actually take the lead. She expects established financial firms to take over as investor confidence in some platform wanes. She also alluded to the fact that average consumers and traders would likely benefit from such a shift as traditional institutions segregate client assets properly. The CEO admitted there's some irony to the idea of traditional finance firms taking the lead in a market meant to be defined by disruption, decentralization, and the emergence of new institutions. Especially the headlines of the last couple of days, it's clear these crypto native platforms would have benefited from having an adult in the room. There are just long held and simple norms about how you treat customer assets. There we go. So they handle about like 30 billion in capital, and it's largely owned by billionaire George Soros. No surprise there. And this actually reminds me of one thing, and I actually want to pull it up because let me get to it. Here it is. I've been trying to find this for so long, but it's this. So this was like a conference or something, right? It was like a conference. It was Davos 2022. And it says a big shift is in motion. The largest tier one custodians invest in the infrastructure to safeguard the market, triggering a virtuous cycle of adoption. This shift creates new regulatory standards, banks setting up the gold standard of compliance practices. So wave one, shadow crypto finance, right? You got Coinbase, you got Binance, you got Kraken, you got, all these ones, MetaMask. And then we're entering the crossroads of wave two, which is banks and regulated financial institutions, Standard Chartered, State Street, BNY Mellon, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. So that's what we're seeing. And that's what the Soros Fund Management CEO basically just said by saying that it's ripe for a traditional finance takeover, right? So that's a connection right there. And then Tel Aviv Stock Exchange completes proof of concept to tokenize fiat and bonds. In its proof of concept, TASC minted the first ERC-1155 security token representing a dummy digital government bond. So a new phase in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange integration of blockchain technology and traditional assets have been completed with the minting of its first dummy digital government bond. The bond mint is part of the proof of concept phase of Project Eden, a partnership between the Israeli Ministry of Finance and the stock exchange to explore blockchain infrastructure and issuing and settling government bonds. Also included in the proof of concept was tokenization of an Israeli shekel, the country's fiat currency, which will serve as a digital payment token to power transactions. As part of the settlement process, a smart contract for bond management is used, which acts as an intermediary to ensure that transactions are verified and do not contain inconsistencies. According to a June 6 blog post, the initiative's Go Live event hosted several local and international banks, including Barclays, BNP Paribas, Dutch Bank, First International Bank, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, and so on. We believe that the startup nation can play a leadership role in the digital transformation of the capital markets. We believe that the capital market information will be completely different in a few years, and it is our job to lead the revolution. The proof of concept was built on an Ethereum virtual machine compatible blockchain, allowing future integration with other blockchain solutions. Crypto firms Blockfold and Fireblocks are behind the distributed ledger infrastructure, enabling interaction across wallets and token standards for issuance and trading of treasury bonds. Blockchain-based settlement systems are also under development for the Bank of England and Bank for International Settlements. Recently, the institutions completed a joint pilot that successfully purchased houses in Wales and England using distributed ledger technology. The project aims to provide a settlement system for central bank digital currencies. And as for Israel, the central bank is analyzing stablecoin adoption and considering issuing a CBDC to prevent private companies from taking over the country's digital payment system in the coming years. So as you can see, all this nonsense is going on in the US with like these charades being thrown by the SEC mainly. But this stuff is chugging along as far as across the world and is being utilized in stock to underpin stock exchanges to be a new transformation of current fiat currencies. And now we're going to have these digital fiat currencies. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the US is going to come around. It's just a matter of, is this a show? Is there a good guy against a bad guy right now? Or are they all working together in the US? Is there a reason why they're holding it back? We're going to have to find out, but I'm sure we're going to learn very soon here and find out that information, because with all these regulatory things heating up and accelerating, especially with the Ripple case on the Hinman docs, all this stuff happening next week and the conferences, and then stuff heating and accelerating across the world up on this front. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see something soon. So then we got Ripple and Stellar mentioned an open regulated payment internetwork. So let's hear this.
All of the existing networks, this is kind of what it would look like. It's not a new system, but it connects existing systems. Yeah. All of the existing networks. And this is kind of what it would look like. It's not a new system, but it connects existing systems. So no matter whether
Ripple, CeeLo, Stellar. That's CeeLo is definitely one for the books. That's CGLD on Coinbase, CeeLo. I believe that it's like the only mobile kind of friendly blockchain network. I saw that they have a CBDC kind of toolkit as well too. I believe I found in a deep dive that you have like meta developers working on it. I feel like CeeLo is very much in the game.
There's incumbents like Swift, Visa, MasterCard, or some of the new networks like Ripple, Stellar, Celo. A payment should be able to go from one. So we see this happening in three phases. The first is account addressing. So this is a global directory that would allow you to address a payment in the same way you have an address. And the second is tokenized compliance, reducing finding efficiencies in compliance to reduce the cost. And the third is real-time settlement.
There we go. So they're the ones. I mean, we know who are tied up. So these same kind of companies, Visa, Swift, MasterCard, a part of this, where'd it go? Oh, a part of this right here, same companies, but you have Ripple tied up, you have Stellar tied up, you have CeeLo tied up, right? So there are some that are going to be a part of this next wave. Then John Deaton, there has been rumors or reports that the Department of Justice may file criminal charges against Binance or the CEO because of the filing of this injunction. At this point in time, I suspect the Department of Justice will file criminal charges. I'm not suggesting that the DOJ should file charges or that there's merit one way or another, but this move is Gary Gensler front-running the DOJ and claiming litigation dibs. Gensler has ruthless ambition. The criminal charges will also fit the administration's narrative against crypto. Bitcoin, crypto, and this administration's war against innovation will be a big deal in the 2024 election. Yeah, keep in mind, next year's election year. But also, if this is the case, right, we need to get eyes on shorts on BNB because there really isn't much holding it as support at this point. If we got the narratives and all this stuff, we have to have our eyes on a heavy BNB short because that will go down for the books, So definitely going to have my eyes peeled as far as when immediately once this or even if it gets kind of announced. But yeah, my eye is going to be on BNB heavy for a short. And even though like BNB might drop it, I don't think it will be an overall black swan for the whole market. I think honestly, the money that will dump out of BNB will dump into these coins that are showing strength, like XRP. So definitely on my radar. Then we have this. If a digital dollar existed, the Federal Reserve can instantly receive stimulus checks during a pandemic. The launch of cryptocurrencies with actual use cases like XRP will expedite this process. That's unreal. This is a fine and a half. You have DC FinTech Week. So, wow. So the launch of new cryptos with actual use cases like XRP, the tokenization of ETFs, and even the development of stablecoins by central banks are exactly what is needed to expedite this process. So there we go. That's huge. That's huge. So shout out to this dude that found that. But now let's go to the next thing. We have ripple effects from the SEC suit could strengthen Coinbase litigation. This was back a couple of weeks ago. The Hinman docs are coming out supposedly next week. So we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. But looking ahead, it says that Coinbase IPO. So whether it's the Hinman documents, the Coinbase IPO, or even Gensler's previous praise of a token he now considers to be a security, the SEC cannot escape past statements and the actions that contradicts its current positions. And the weight of those contradictions is increasingly apparent to the court. Case in point, Judge Torres has determined that the emails and documents related to the Hinman speech are judicial documents, which means she is likely to rely on them in her rendering her final decision. If Judge Torres ultimately rules in favor of Ripple, the decision would provide a critical legal precedent for the industry. It would insulate digital assets similar to XRP from being automatically labeled as securities by the SEC, and it would all but force the agency to back down from its regulation by enforcement approach that is driving crypto investment offshore. So maybe that's why they're going full steam, trying to get these lawsuits out there before this all pans out. I have a strong feeling it will. Then we have Janet Yellen, very supportive of the SEC, CFTC crypto enforcement. She declined to comment on the lawsuits, but she had said on Wednesday morning that in light of the recent SEC lawsuits against Coinbase and Binance, she supports American financial regulators' attempts to protect consumers and investors who are involved in crypto. The SEC, CFTC, and other regulators have the ability and tools to protect consumers and investors, and I'm very supportive of seeing those agencies use the tools they have. But she then goes on to say that she wants to see Congress act. She said additional regulation for crypto firms is appropriate. I see some holes in the system where additional regulation I think would be appropriate. We would like to work with Congress to see additional legislation passed. So it's a whole lot of regulation talk today. Then we have this. The CBOE received CFTC approval to launch leveraged crypto derivatives. So crypto exchange and clearinghouse CBOE Digital, huge, will be able to offer margin Bitcoin and Ethereum future contracts with the approval of the U.S. derivatives market's regulator. This will allow its clients to trade crypto futures with less collateralized capital upfront. And they got granted the regulatory approval by the CFTC. So the authorization will permit CBOE to launch physically and financially settled Bitcoin and Ethereum margin future contracts on CBOE Digital in the second half of this year, according to a statement quoted by Reuters and Bloomberg. Until now, the exchange could offer only fully collateralized trading of crypto futures where users are required to provide the full amount of a contract before trading. Margin trading will allow them to trade while putting up less capital. So there we go. And then we have Australia to phase out checks by 2030. We're seeing the disappearance of checks. We're seeing the disappearance of physical cash, and we're heading into this digital age. It's the writings on the wall there. But yeah, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Now let's keep going because we have Jim Cramer strikes again. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Absolutely. I think that if you a series of coins that were mentioned, and we all kind of know them, we're talking about Solana, talking about Matic, Cardano. So do you think it's...
So yeah, he was saying that he, sell off. He doesn't want anybody holding this stuff. Usually this guy's dead wrong. So we likely saw a bottom and we're actually seeing the market bounce again. Then we have this. So it may have been lost in yesterday's other news, but this is really big. So this is the Ripple's lawyer. And he had quoted this, which was the SEC has 7 days to respond to that court order with the whether or not the SEC has decided to deny giving rulemaking for the digital asset space. So 7 days. And then we have they allowed us to be a public company. We're now seeing conflicting statements from the CFTC and SEC chair. Coinbase CEO said on being sued by the SEC, it isn't good for America. It's not good for the industry. And we now need to get clarity from the courts. So there we go. And then we have, so the responsible release of the Hinman docs and another congressional crypto hearing all on the same day. And I thought today was busy. Yeah, it's been a wild past couple of days, and it's going to be a wild week. It's going to be a wild next week, but we're almost there. Lights at the end of the tunnel. So you have the new House Financial Services Chairman has announced a full committee hearing next Tuesday, June 13th, entitled The Future of Digital Assets, Providing Clarity for the Digital Asset Ecosystem. And then we saw today some more kind of rule books and kind of things being imposed. The Basel Committee, let's not forget about Basel III, reassessing bank crypto rules regarding permissionless blockchains and stablecoins. This was today. So this is going to have to be a whole deep dive, because this has to do with the Bank for International Settlements, has to do with a whole lot of things. So we're going to do a whole deep dive on this one, because this is huge. So let's keep going. Mercedes Pay turns vehicles into payment devices. We had mentioned this in our course videos and some of our group sessions, as far as like, we're heading into a world where your car, you pull up, your smart autonomous car pulls up to the smart toll and pays that device. So like, you have the Internet of Things, devices paying devices autonomously. And you can only do that with blockchain and distributed ledger technology as the core backbone of this all. It makes it all work. And now we're seeing it come to fruition here. It's kind of crazy, but Mercedes Pay turns vehicles into payment devices. So, and they give the example as well too. So our goal with Mercedes Pay is to provide a seamless and exceptional customer experience across payment touchpoints within the Mercedes. The new feature addresses a major customer pain point, parking, and we're going to make that experience a lot easier for Mercedes-Benz customers. So imagine you pull up to the parking toll, and then payment processing is then enabled automatically by Mercedes Pay. So the connection of vehicles to mobile networks is a growing Internet of Things trend. Yeah, we're seeing it all come to light. It's going to be a whole new world in a couple of years, let me tell you that. Then we have this. So the promotion of CBDCs has begun. Not surprisingly, a country famous for freezing protester bank accounts is leading the way. Let's hear it.
Here at the Bank of Canada, we're exploring the possibility of issuing a digital version of cash. Not to replace cash, but to ensure Canadians always have access to a safe, stable, and official payment option in an increasingly digital world. You may be thinking, I don't need a digital Canadian dollar right now, and you'd be right, but Canadians may need one in the future. So the bank has to be ready if and when Parliament makes that decision. Part of being ready is hearing from you. Your input will help us make choices about the design of our digital dollar, ensuring it's convenient, easy to use, and meets your needs. So please head over to our website and fill in our survey.
So a digital dollar for a digital future, have your say. So the promotion of CBDCs has begun in Canada. And then we have this right here. So there's so much stuff going on, man. You got like aliens and whistleblowers coming out, and UFOs. You got this stuff going on with the SEC. You got CBDCs going on. You got a whole lot of stuff about like Instagram today and how they're connected with this, that, and the other thing. It's nuts nowadays. It is totally nuts. And then you had Canada having wildfires. And I was actually driving yesterday and I was like, why does it seem so smoky out? I'm in New England and it was so smoky out. And then I saw an article saying that there's been tons of wildfires in Canada and it's traveling to the northeast of the US. Crazy. It's crazy right now. Then we have the petrodollar and its discontents point to Bitcoin's role in the financial future. So recent moves by Saudi Arabia, Russia, China have raised fears that the US dollar could lose its preferred status for oil trading, and yet alternative national currencies aren't that appealing. Could a Bitcoin-like currency do better? Over the past several years, and with accelerating frequency in the past 6 months, oil-producing nations like Russia, Saudi Arabia have signaled their intent to break with the so-called petrodollar. The petrodollar system, which emerged starting in roughly 1973, is the nearly uniform use of US dollars to denominate and often settle worldwide oil trades. Guys, if you're in Stargate VIP and you've gone through a Gartha course, come on. Like, we've really set up our course programs to really be effective in the sense of you go through it step by step. It literally is the keys to the future as far as what to look out for, what to watch. And everything is unfolding as we speak. And when we recorded those initially, I think it was like late 2021, maybe like November, December, and we actually just upgraded them and updated them, revamped them. Like we called it to a T. Like everything panning out. If you go back to that Agartha course, mission 1, mission 2, you'll really see how spot on we are with knowing what to watch, knowing what's important, and looking at these key macro things. But though it is sometimes mistaken for a formal rules-based system, the petrodollar is better understood as one aspect of the broader role of the dollar as a global reserve currency and the resulting exorbitant privilege the U.S. enjoys. Specifically, historians regard the petrodollar as one of the most important consequences of the transition from the Bretton Woods framework for global finance, which centered on a managed gold standard, to the more decentralized and market-based neoliberal money system that supplanted it. So as we go down here, it goes into all of it. Let's see. So in short, the tensions at the heart of the petrodollar system point towards a solution that looks something like Bitcoin. Not Bitcoin, but something like it. And I think what comes next is just like what we're seeing already starting to pan out is countries being able to transact in their local currencies and having a common bridge digital asset for that currency conversion. And that's what's next, where they'll put every single country and their currencies on a level playing field. That's what I believe is right on the horizon. So if we keep going down, in a worst case scenario, if those oil earnings didn't get back into the global capital system, credit markets could have seized up and collapsed. The most conspiratorial view of the petrodollar system hangs on the genuinely secretive U.S. efforts to help solve the issue. The fate of the credit system and funding for U.S. debt, far more than the future dominance of the dollar, was the priority when Nixon administration pitched the petrodollar. So we keep going down. So this is bulky. This might have to go into Agartha. Yeah, this is bulky. So we're going to move on from this, but this is all heat, absolute heat. This is going on in the archives for sure. So that is it, guys. Whole lot of news today. Tons of regulatory stuff going on. Tons of stuff to look out for in the coming weeks. Tons of CBDC things. Tons of BRICS things. Just tons of things happening across the board. Crazy times in the market. So we're going to be on top of it. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about everything that's going on right now, and come join the Discord. Link will be in the bio to come join the Discord. So I will see you guys in the next video.